And for those of us who have a harder time with that, we need to help each other, but we shouldn't try to help each other with types of activism that mostly serve to engender a kind of learned helplessness. Does that make sense? Your candy ass is soft, is what I'm saying. That's the main, your candy ass is soft. I'm in a small town, there's no activist groups here. That's fine. You don't need to join an activist group. I have always maintained that the most effective way to be an agent for political change is to just generally be a well put together person.
Maybe getting involved in local elections, joining a local political party. It seems kind of simple.
Be strong and disciplined. I mean this in every sense, you know? I mean this like literally work. The more life
this is like clean your room. This is like Jordan Peterson-esque.
Hampers you, the less able you will be to do other things. If you are poor, you will be less able to find the time and resources to do what you want. So keep to your studies and get a good job if you can. I know it's not that simple. I'm not saying any of this is fair. I'm only saying that it's part of the path, you know? Be physically fit because you don't want to be hampered by sickness, tiredness, disease, illness, whatever. Be socially attained, you know, talk to people around you. Be charismatic because your ability to interact with and win over the people around you could be vital if in the future there might be a situation where you can be helpful, you know? Maybe your usefulness in a political sense, your ability to beget like a good outcome, maybe that isn't you going out and joining an activist org. Maybe instead you live your life for like 12 years and you do your best and so on and so forth. You take care of your finances, you raise a family, but sometime in the future, 12 years from now, okay, you get approached by a covert union organizer in a country which has even worse union rights than we have today. You get approached by a union organizer and they say, "Are you on board? And if you're on board, would you be willing to spread the message?" And you say yes. And because you're in that job, because you're a family man, because you're sociable and charismatic and well put together, you're able to convince other people. And maybe that's when you make a difference, you know? You don't need to rush off to it. And in all likelihood, if you just rush into the first social cause that will take you, you're probably not going to be that useful.
It's there are political groups and organizations around you, basically no matter where you live, that you do have local elections. There are people around you that have resources and that can help you get involved. You don't need to join a radical organization. You don't need to join a mutual aid organization. There are resources right there that can keep you plugged in for whenever you're able to help out here and there. You don't need to. It's really not that complicated. He's basically saying, be like Tim Walz.
Sometimes it's about biding your time, waiting for the right opportunity, and then in that critical moment, being the guy everyone can depend on, or girl, or non-binary person that everyone can depend on, and you do your work. Look, I'll only put it this way.
Defensive.
Relative, that's a very idealized view. Strongly disagree. I think I'm actually describing an extremely realistic understanding of how organizing and activism tends to work, okay? I'll put it this way, all right? If I may. Okay, like relative to my life, it's pretty obvious what my skill set is. I like talking on stream. I lucked out. I got the job. Yay. Okay, but I've been a leftist for longer than I've been a streamer. What did I do with my time beforehand? Well, when I was in university, I did like organizing and volunteering work. I worked in prisons. I blah, 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 blah. It's not that interesting. Okay, I enjoyed that work. But the only reason that I'm able to do this, where my influence is many times greater than what I did back then, is because I always cared about being able to speak publicly. Long before I streamed, I cared about public speaking. And I wasn't even that great at it when I started streaming, but I cultivated a skill set. And eventually, through blind luck and circumstance, I was able to use that skill set in a way that I now feel in a satisfactory way gives me some kind of sway over others to advance my political interest, which in this case, of course, is like and subscribe, ring the bell, donate. Thank you. Does that make sense? Maybe I could have just jumped into the first thing that I saw, but thankfully over time,
he's just shitting on anarchists, constantly doing this bit. Well, the problem that I have is that it doesn't really. So like he showed this this image, and he was shitting on this image, right? This image just is pointing you to a bunch of things that are on that you know, they don't actually get you because of that hobbyism or whatever. But then he ends up going into the conclusion of, you know, just work on yourself, clean your room, make sure that you're healthy. And when the time comes, you will figure it out. How is that more helpful than this? It sounds like it's just simply more like, don't worry, I'm not cringe and soy. It sounds like it's just more like, I am not cringe and soy, please believe me.
Win over the people around you could be vital if in the future there might be a situation where you can be helpful. You know, maybe your usefulness in a political sense, your ability to beget like a good outcome, maybe that isn't you going out and joining an activist org. Maybe instead you live your life for like 12 years and you do your best and so on and so forth. It's as many times greater than what I did back then, is because I always cared about being able to speak publicly. Long before I streamed, I cared about public speaking, and I wasn't even that great at it when I started streaming, but I cultivated a skill.
Also, be charismatic, very useful. It's like I think that like the simplest bit of advice that you never hear, except for Xander Hall, is just familiarize yourself with your local politics. Join a political organization. Like you don't even have to do that much, like, because like once you do that, like the big problem that people are in most of the time is that they don't know what the fuck they don't know like. What kind of things that they can do or what's going on. They don't know when this kind of thing, that kind of thing is happening. If you just get the resources, there you go. Like you're much more likely to affect political change if you have the resources to do so. It's not that complicated. Just depending on where you live. Like I say DSA because it's probably the best for like if you're in the Portland area or if you're in like a city or something, it's probably going to be like one of the better ones where you can just sign up and then they're immediately going to be giving you resources. And then you just have those resources.
Skill set, and eventually through blind luck and circumstance, I was able to use that skill set in a way that I now feel in a satisfactory way gives me some kind of sway over others to advance my political interest, which in this case, of course, is like and subscribing.
Isn't the DSA super problematic? It can be depending on where you're at, but I would say the reason why your local DSA might be a problem or cringe or something is because the only people that fucking joined them are cringe. Usurp the cringe.
They'll donate. Thank you. Does that make sense?
But it doesn't have to be the DSA. It doesn't have to be the DSA. Just any political organization, any left-wing blue political organization is going to give you the resources. They're going to give you the resources to get involved. Even so much as like voting blue, no matter who, and just things like that in general are going to be going a lot further than anything that he's saying here. Sadly enough, you know. Maybe I could have. It doesn't help you get that image of being like a revolutionary person. But it's going to be much more productive than this kind of messaging.
Just jumped into the first thing that I saw. But thankfully, over time, like I was given an opportunity. I took advantage of it. But maybe there's another timeline out there where I thought like, okay, well, I just have to do what I can. And I end up like never growing as a person. I develop burnout. I'm not as effective. And I'm just like making my way through life. I got lucky, to be clear. But I also think that what happened to me is a good example of the importance of trying to develop a skill set, live your life well, and then as the opportunity comes, take advantage of it. Just don't learn helplessness. Don't let anyone online make you feel comfortable not engaging in self-improvement, right? It's okay to be comfortable with who you are, always, right? You should always be comfortable like with yourself as an entity.
However, you're an asshole.
Like as an individual. But you should also always be looking to self-improve and not be hostile to people who encourage self-improvement. Which jobs would you consider to be most positively impactful? Lurky, you're not listening to me. You're doing the exact opposite of what I just said. You should also always be looking to self-improve and not be hostile to people who encourage self-improvement. Which job